The time is now 7 o'clock, and this meeting is opened. First, I'd like to start with a roll call. Mary Ann Galezzo,
Here.
Chris Diorio, Brad Jackson,
Here.
Andy Levine,
Here.
Joe Lovino,
Here.
Scott Neville,
Here.
and David Temang.
Here.
Chairman Doherty will not be present this evening, so I, Teresa Manganelli, will be in his place instead. So I spoke with the chair earlier and regarding a 3-minute limit on public comments per individual. These will only be allowed at the designated time on the agenda. I will ask every member of this committee to not engage, regardless of who it is that is speaking. We are only here to take a comment and act on it as we see fit at a later time. I also want to remind everyone that this meeting is being taped by WCTV. So, we'll be moving right into the budget for the Recreation Department. Hi, Brett.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me tonight. Good to see everybody again. So yeah, I'll jump right into it. I did print out, I found out this morning from Lou that you guys didn't want a PowerPoint, so I got rid of the pictures. I know I had some last year of some stuff we've done, but just wanted to print out a few of the slides that have some of the numbers on them, if you'd like to follow along as I go through it, besides what's on the actual budget in the booklet. So I'll just start off, restating our mission statement, and the goal of the Wilmington Recreation Department is to offer high-quality, relevant and affordable programs and services to the residents of Wilmington. We provide a variety of leisure services that are under constant review with a focus on evolving offerings to keep pace with local demand and changing trends. We offer classes for all ages, sports, and other programs to promote physical health, and day and overnight trips to provide lifelong education and entertainment. Our commitment is to excellence in our programming, presented with superior customer service. So just jumping into it, so our budget request, which doesn't have a lot of line items, I know compared to some other departments, but just to go through it, so our budget covers the director position and our clerk position. We do have a third person in our office, the program coordinator, that's funded out of our revolving account, and I do have another slide talking about that in a little bit. And then other line items, the training and the conferences that we attend. So my ask for this year is we increase that by $500. Cost of our state conference has gone up. That's an overnight, so hotel stay for the three of us. So that's gone up a little bit. So asking for a $500 increase for that item. The town beach, which falls under the program supplies in the budget booklet, I'm asking for an additional $1,000 that help offsets the payroll that we have for all our lifeguards and gate attendants over there, and I'm going to kind of dive a little bit further into that to explain that as well in a little bit. And then the office and printing supplies remains the same at $2,500. That might seem a little high. We print all our newsletters in-house now. We used to outsource that, but we find that we save more by doing it in-house. So the majority of that is for paper to print our newsletters on. So the entire request is $140,334, and compared to last year, that's an increase of $7,125, with the majority of that being for payroll for the director and the senior clerk. So I just wanted to do a little recap of 2023. On the left-hand side of that next page, you'll see the profit that we took in for each season, as well as the annual at the bottom, the annual being any ticket sales that we do, movie tickets, whale watch tickets, those sorts of things. So while not high in revenue, some people still look for us for those purchases, which is nice. We're able to provide those services. So the total that we took in this year, $137,709. And then you'll look, the next one says community support, and then I broke that out on the right-hand side. So community support being anything we kind of give back to the community. So Concerts on the Common, that's funded by the revolving account. The town beach, so this past summer we took a loss of $36,997 on the beach, most of that being payroll, and I'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit. We fund the Horribles Parade here in town, which is very well attended each year, so The majority of that is the candy that we purchase. Candy keeps going up and up. This year we were very lucky. We got a nice donation from the Sons and Daughters of Italy here in town to offset a little bit of that, which was very nice. And then we also sponsor Santa's Workshop, which takes place here in this room in December each year. And then the program coordinator position, which I talked about, is funded out of the revolving account. So the total that we gave back to the town in 2023 being $87,279. That with the overhead, which is all the credit card fees and the amount that we pay for Community Pass, which is how we register everybody for our programs. So our net income for the year was $31,728.
Excuse me, can I ask a question now? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
So, that just stays in the, that's a revolving account, so that
Yep.
goes to feed FY '22, right? Okay, thank you.
I'll talk more about the revolving account as well. Yep. So the next page, Town Beach. So I did a recap of this past summer. This does seem a little bit high, the deficit for the beach. If you think about last summer, we had a lot of rainy days. We also had a lot of cloudy days. So that meant we still had lifeguards on staff. So it's not like we had a lot of days where we called off staff, so they were still being paid, and we did not have a lot of people at the beach, unfortunately. The revenue that we take in, obviously residents get to attend the beach for free. So non-residents, we took in just a little over $21,000. Tri-Fury, which is a group that purchases wristbands to swim beyond the buoys over at the beach. They're allowed to swim out there. They're training for triathlons. So we've worked it out that they get to purchase a wristband, so they're allowed to swim beyond the swimming area. So we took in a little bit of money there. Boat rentals, very affordable. So, only took in a little over $100, but it's a great way for people to get out on the lake. And then the ice cream truck. So it's a bidding process, and this past summer was $1,000 to the winning bid to be able to put their ice cream truck over at the beach during the summer. So we took in close to $23,000, but if you look at the salaries, over $58,000, supplies a little over $800. What we did this past year to attract more people to apply to be lifeguards, we agreed to pay for their lifeguard certification up to $400. So towards the middle to end of the summer, they were able to submit reimbursement for their courses that they took in spring and early summer, which I thought was great. We're looking to do the same this year to attract new guards. Police Beach Day, we help out a little bit there. It's very popular here in town. I know we're already planning on doing it again this coming summer. And then you'll see the budget appropriation for the $2,000 that was approved to offset a little bit of that last year. So the deficit being very close to $37,000 last year. And talking with Lou, that's why I'd ask for another $1,000 towards that. I know we're not going to wipe it all out. I'm hoping we get better weather this year. I would anticipate the deficit being closer to $30,000 than $37,000, and the rest of that being funded out of the revolving account.
Sorry if I missed it. What was the deficit the previous year?
Previous year was roughly 24. But salaries did increase. We also agreed to pay for certifications and things like that. So that's also the reason for the increase.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Do you feel like you have or will have enough lifeguards for the upcoming season? Were you satisfied with the number that you had
I was
this year?
satisfied with what we had last year. So we had
Okay.
15. I'd love to be closer to 20, but we had a really eager staff that wanted to work a lot of hours, which was nice. Rehire letters went out this week. It's very early, but I wanted to do that ahead of time. We have a lot of kids that were either graduating grad school or they're in their senior year of college this year. So I don't know how many are going to want to come back for one more year. Good news is we had 5 or 6 that came on even after the beach opened last year, as they had to wait to be 16, but we brought them on board just to get them in the fold for this coming year. So I anticipate those to be back. Our beach supervisor will be back. She told me 2 weeks ago, which was a huge relief. She's been here a long time. I know every summer she says she'll think about it, which is great that she's coming back for another year. But the posting has been up since early December, and we're gonna, do some more advertising around that to, as we get closer to spring and people really start thinking about the summer months.
Are we competitive with what we're paying?
We're competitive now. So 2 years ago we were not, and then last summer we bumped it up by a few dollars for each position to be more competitive.
Okay, good.
All right. Next page, I did looked at some facts just because I know you guys love numbers, obviously. But on the left-hand side, I wanted to look at capacity. So for youth and adult programs, we were at 87% capacity for all youth and adult programs across the board, which was up 14% from the year before, which is great. Shows that people really want to get out, be active, take classes, which is awesome. Trips, we were at 97%, which was up 1 from the previous year. That 100% is a little bit of an outlier in 2021. That was coming out of COVID. I believe we only ran 3 or 4 trips that year, so we had full participation. But somewhere in the mid-90s is great, I think. And this year's already off to a strong start for us as well. Registration numbers, we were able to get over 4,000 across the board, which is the highest we've been in the past few years. And then if you look at household accounts, we added close to 600 more from the year 2022, and that number continues to grow year after year. Cancellation fees, I know we talked about this last year. In 2022, we did up it to a $10 cancellation fee at the minimum. We've stayed at that rate, so it's gone up a little bit by a few $100s. But I do think, whereas it was at $5 before, it's kind of curbed some people from just pulling the plug no matter what. I don't want to go up by too much because I know people have a number of reasons that they cancel. It's not just that they don't want to do something or they found something better. There's a number of reasons that go into that. And then our non-resident fees, and this is excluding the beach, was at $2,300. And just to put that, in perspective, we charge a $5 non-resident fee for a program or day trip, and it's an extra $10 for an overnight trip. And we do get a lot of non-residents that like to travel with us. So the revolving account. So this account is everything that we bring in, and all the expenses for all the programs and trips go out of this as well. So the number is, in fluctuation quite a bit. Talking with town accountant Brian Perry, the best day to get the actual number is June 30th each year at the end of the fiscal year. So you'll note last year on June 30th, it was at $868,211. As it sits today, it's at $617,957. And then the next page just shows expected big expenses out of this account over the next 12 to 18 months. Now, obviously, we're bringing in money at the same time, so this number, remains somewhat flat. Not that if you look at the bottom number, you'll say almost all of it is going to disappear, but we still have to bring in a lot of this money as well. So we've already committed close to $330,000 in trips for 2024. Expected beach loss, which I talked about, should be around $30,000 due to salaries. Concerts on the Common will be $3,200. And then the program coordinator position, a little over $55,000. And then the bottom item is the North Intermediate Court design, and that's slated for FY26 right now, and that's in having conversations with Jamie McGaldy from DPW. That item has been moved a couple of years, and in talking with him, it might get pushed back each year. He kind of wants to wait and see what happens with a new school here in town. So we don't want to do something to the courts, which may be torn down at some point anyway. But that is, the $50,000 is for the engineering phase of that design. Yeah.
Andy Levine, so my question is, the revolving account, how does that work? Does that just continue to grow? And what do we do with that? Is that invested? How do we handle that?
So it does grow a little bit. This past year we took in $30,000 net profit, but every few years or so we have a bigger project come up. We helped fund the pickleball courts. We helped with the design at the Shawsheen courts, with the new basketball courts over there. So that money's kind of set aside for bigger things as well. So, and it does fund the beach, it funds the program coordinator position, which isn't part of the budget.
I think at first glance, when you look at that, you think that that's a stagnant number, but you're saying you're using that to finance all these trips prior to getting paid by the individuals that are going away. So I'm just wondering, do you have any anticipated projects in the next few years? Maybe something at the new senior center? There are a couple of things that they had to take out. Any thoughts on that?
I could definitely have conversations with Terry. I know that they're scheduled to build more pickleball courts over there, which are the ones back here are extremely popular. I think we would be willing to talk about funding those as well, knowing that a lot of our individuals would use them. I talk to Jamie a lot, and things do come up, like courts in town, things like that, and, we're willing to pitch in, knowing that the money's there to improve or build new facilities, things like that.
Okay,
You
but
know.
you don't have anything concrete?
Nothing concrete. I know, the Textron fields are now under our control, so I know he's working on that, so there might be some money to pitch in towards refurbishing the field, something like that as well.
And obviously, they like to keep it to recreation stuff.
Right.
But to answer your question, I think that might be a good question for Brian Perry. That's a very good question.
What threw me off on this slide was the bottom number being so much smaller than the 2023 number. But you said
If you
it goes
think
from June 30th
to now,
So now
essentially, it's
we're
been
in
6 months.
February.
Yeah, and we had some trips. We had a week-long trip in the fall, so like obviously that money came out in between then and now.
So from now until June 30th of this year, like, are we expecting this number to?
It'll start
Back
going
up.
back up. Yep. So we have another week-long trip in June. The bulk of that money still needs to be paid, but obviously people need to make final payments on that as well.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, thank you.
yep. And then the final page there, I just wanted to note some new programs, specifically one I thought this group would like, which is the top one under the youth section. We offered a finance class this year
Awesome.
to high school kids, which was great. And so they learned, balancing a budget, starting a checking account. They even told them a little bit about having a mortgage, even though that's probably seems many years away for a bunch of them, but things like that. And I thought it was a really cool addition, something we hadn't done before. So I thought this group would like to hear that.
How was that attended? How much?
Yeah.
So we had, I believe, 10 high school kids attend that. That was one of those, absolutely love to offer it. You never know what you're going to get.
What are you charging for that?
I should know that.
It's all right. I don't
I
mean
don't
to
know
put
that
you
off the
on-
top of my head.
On the
but
spot. But that may be something that we could really look at what you're charging to make it more attractive to,
Sure.
to families and kids of that
I wanna say-
age.
I do know the instructor didn't charge anything to offer it. They wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do it to give back to the community. So I believe we kept it pretty low.
Yeah.
I can send everyone an email about that if you'd like.
Yeah,
Just
no,
following
no,
up.
no issues, just a thought.
Yeah,
You know, It seems like such a valuable
it is.
program that you want to kind of, at least in the beginning anyway, get the word out and get as many people in there as possible. And
So some other things, you see the list for the youth trips. We took a trip to Tucson in Arizona last spring. We went to Northern California. Those were the two big ones this past year. Very well attended. This coming year, we're going to Mackinac Island in Chicago. Mackinac Island is up in northern Michigan, almost in Canada. And then the other big trip is a river cruise in France in late October, early November, which is already sold out.
wow.
Sold out in 3 weeks, which was awesome.
And he was worried about it.
A river trip in France.
How much was it? Do you know off the top?
So
Obviously
there's-
more than we can all afford, 'cause we're not going.
there's 6 different room options on that, so people had some options as to what they'd like to pick. We chose France. This year is the 80th anniversary of Normandy, so Normandy is included in that. So I think that really helped sell it as well.
Great.
I want to ask, how do you advertise your programs? 'Cause I'm looking at the printing line item, and that seems like a very small advertising budget for everything that you're doing. I'm sort of
Yeah,
curious.
so besides the newsletter, which we print in-house now, which is nice, we're on Facebook. We send emails to our database constantly. I'm sure some of you are in there. Some are targeted, some are to everybody. But we put our newsletter, obviously here in Town Hall, it's at the library, it's at the senior center. We get a lot of word of mouth, which is great as well. People they know, like, quarterly newsletter, we're already getting calls. Our newsletter is gonna come out very soon in early February. We're getting a lot of calls about summer programs already. People are expecting it,
Tiny
especially
Tots.
about Playground and Tiny Tots.
Yep.
So we try to keep everybody on the same playing field. We don't tell them a date, and when it's out there, it's out there. And, we've got a really good network of people that we advertise to, so.
They'll be
I
lined
need
up around town hall once.
Well, I
They
was
will
just gonna
be.
ask that, is it
Unbelievable.
still
They
in
will be.
person?
It is.
Still in
Playground and Tiny Tots have to be in person because we need the registration forms. Last year, Playground sold out in 3 days. That's 270 spots. So, I'm sure there might be people at home listening to me right now.
We were in it last year. And it was the newsletter came out, and we called the rec department and said, "This is listed on the newsletter. Is that open?" He said it just opened when the newsletter went out. And
Yep.
Ran a check down right away.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, or?
I just had one going back to Community Pass.
Yep.
So when you pay for something at Community Pass, you charge a service fee. That goes to Community Pass and not you, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the credit card fees are worked into the price of every program in trip.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And then I know CARES also uses Community Pass for their registration. Is that a separate account, or do you guys split?
It is a separate account, so people have a recreation account, or they also have a Town of Wilmington account, I believe is
Yeah.
how it's listed. Sometimes, and this is I've talked to Community Pass about this, somehow people are able to do both sometimes, for some reason. They're able to sign up for recreation through their Town of Wilmington account, but they are supposed to be separate,
Okay.
What's
if that
Community
makes
Pass?
sense. That's our online registration system.
Oh, okay.
So every dollar we take in goes in through Community Pass. So we pay a flat fee for the service, and then the credit card fees on top of it.
So how do you sign up? How do you get your email to you guys? 'Cause I gotta tell you, as far as I'm concerned, this is the best kept secret in Wilmington.
Yeah.
This is,
Thank you.
I mean, I was just listening to you about the trip to France, and I'm hoping my wife, well, no, she's not watching, but I hope she doesn't, because if I missed that, I would have been killed, but why don't you give a plug to how people?
Sure.
Reach out
So you
to
can
the
find
recreation
us. You can
department.
find us on the town website under recreation. You can create your own account online. You can call the recreation department, and we're open 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. You can stop in. You can send me an email personally. My information's on the website. Number of different ways that you can sign up. And once you're in the system with your email, anything we send out. So when the newsletter comes out, you get that notification. Yeah.
Doesn't it come out with the tax bill or the water bill, or is that
No,
included?
that's
No.
town topic.
That's Town Topics.
Town topics.
But there are other
We
things.
don't wanna put it in the tax bill. 'Cause
Yes.
They're already cranky enough
Yeah.
when they get there.
maybe we should.
We could.
There are announcements in that, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Right,
It's-
that's
Yeah.
town
The
topics.
information's we have a section in Town Topics. Recreation always does. We list what's coming up, whether it's trips or specific programs people are looking for. But yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
But if you're interested in a particular trip, or you want to know what trips you're offering, you really need to be on top of your department and not wait for something to come out in print.
Me specifically, or somebody signing up?
Somebody signing
Somebody
up.
signing up. So you're not able to register for anything until it's in a newsletter, unless it's a special announcement. We have done a few trips like that where we're waiting on dates and we say in the newsletter, coming soon, and we'll blast it out through email and
Yeah.
things like that. But you're not able to register for anything until it's in a newsletter.
Well, I think you guys do a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Any other,
Like the happiest place in town hall.
yeah. Any other comments, or questions for Brett? No? Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you.
Nice to
All
see
right,
you.
Nice to see you as well. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Lou. All right.
Our next appointment is with the library. Welcome our new director, Kate. Would you help me with your last name,
Oh, I'd be
please?
delighted. Caraccio.
Caraccio.
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hi. I know I met you all earlier, but it's very nice to meet you all. A lot of you for the first time. For my very first Wilmington budget proposal here at FinCom. I guess in a similar vein as Brett, I'll talk a little bit about the library and what we do, although I'm sure you guys are very familiar with us. I'd argue that we're the best kept secret in town, but I'm biased. Wilmington Memorial Library is one of the most amazing places that exist, period. We offer services to people of all ages. Everything that we do is free and open to the public. Every program that we do costs nothing to register and attend for. And we are so happy that our programs are busy and well attended and varied. We had over 12,000 people attend programs at the library in 2023. And I'm very happy with that number given that we were under construction for some of it. So if you've not been down to the library since June, we have renovated the entire first floor due to, in part, by a Cummings grant and also multiple different funding, including our friends at the library, state aid, private donations, and some municipal funding as well. So we're really excited about the renovation. It's made the space that we have really usable, and we have taken advantage of every square inch of that library, and it's been well loved. And we have seen traffic increase dramatically since that renovation has been completed, and we're really excited about what next year brings. So a few of the initiatives that we have been doing feverishly, and I'll stop and say, I started September 15th, so we are 4.5 months in, and because of that, I have also asked my assistant director, Danielle Masterson, if you've not met her, she is incredible. And she's been here the entire year, so if there's anything that I'm still learning or don't know, we have a good resource here. A couple things that we have been working on, so if you follow us on any of our social medias, newsletter, or anything, you know that we have just launched a brand new app, and we're very excited about it, the Wilm Library app. It is an extremely robust tool. You can search all of the MVLC libraries. You can put books on hold. You can add your library to your Apple Wallet or whatever wallet that you use. Look at you. It's beautiful, isn't it? We're so proud of it.
Incredible.
Yeah, we're so proud of it.
You should be.
You can
very
do self-checkout, but also if you want to come talk to us and have us check out your books, we're happy to do that. We're really, really proud of the app and how much accessibility it's going to add to the patrons who want to use it. We have also introduced a brand new event calendar, which is also a more robust tool. So you can do things on our new events calendar like create your own newsletter for the events you're looking for. I'm a single mother of a 5-year-old son. If I'm only interested in children's programs for the next month and I want it emailed to me on the first Monday of every month, I can do that. If we are doing an outreach event at the senior center and we just want to pull events for adults for the next week to bring there, we can do it just like that. And I'm very proud of all of these things because it really took the entire library working together. Every single staff member. We even pulled patrons to help us. Hey, you have an Android? Help us test this. Did it break? Can you break it for us? I'm just extremely proud of the work that we're doing over there. And I think having a new leader after, Tina Stewart's 49 years of tenure is always going to be a little bit different for everyone. We come with a different perspective, but Tina has been so amazing. She has answered every phone call, every question that we've had. So it really helps having people in town, directors who are now patrons, to help lead the way of the library. So I'm really proud of the institution. I'll start with that. But we're here to talk about numbers. And I'm happy to talk about that with you. So in talking about this budget process with Lou, one of the things that we were kind of advised to do is to try to look at level service budget. And so you'll see in the budget that we have presented that we do have an increase of $26,672 overall. And that corresponds with an increase in our personnel services line. And so that's really the only increase to our overall budget. The other lines are moved around a little bit just to meet our state standards and state minimums. But what we just did is kind of move money from one line into another and reallocate our resources so that we're meeting our state minimums and we're able to operate kind of at a level service. So I'll go through kind of what that looks like. So again, we've got an increase to our personnel services line, and that's just due to contractual step increases, and that's about $26,000. And then if we move into our contractual services, there's a few things that kind of go into that line. So the first is what we call miscellaneous contractual, which, what does that mean? I'll tell you. These are all, it's kind of a mishmash of softwares and subscriptions that we have that help us run the library. So like I just talked about, our new calendar software, new meeting room software, our app, all of these things fit within miscellaneous contractual. We've also been reassessing services that we have had since the pandemic, like our Zoom accounts, and took a look at what we can live without and what we can live with, because obviously the amount of virtual programming that we're doing has decreased, and so we were able to decrease that a little bit to increase where we spend on our library calendar. So that is miscellaneous contractual. So you'll see overall in that line, there's only a $420 increase in that line. Our Merrimack Valley Library Consortium, MVLC, that's our consortium that we are a part of, and every year we get assessed a fee that they're going to charge us. This year it did increase. So you'll see kind of overall $3,904 added to that line. So it's two costs associated with that line. One is just our regular assessment increase. And then the second one is it's a web connector cost increase, and that is so that our software can talk to the MVLC software so that we can get our catalogs to work so that our patrons can search our catalogs and do it securely. So that is MVLC. Programs. So last year our programs were funded at $12,000. This year we are asking for $15,000, and that is strictly due to inflation. Everybody is charging more to come and present to the library across the board. It's not even just like children's performers are charging more, it's everybody. And so for that, we're asking for $15,000 instead of $12,000. And again, it's not an overall budget increase. We've moved money from furnishings and equipment into that line to allow us that increase for programming. We do also receive about $20,000 a year from our Friends of the Library to fund programs specifically. So we get $20,000 from them, and we get $12,000 from you guys, from the town. And so we're just looking for $15,000 so that we can kind of continue to offer the same robust programming that we always have. And as we look for more ways to fundraise and work with the Friends to try to work with them to raise more money so that we can do more. Training and conferences, that has been funded at $5,000. We are not asking for an increase in that line, so level funding on that line. Office and library supplies, again, $21,760, level funding from last year. Oh, books and library materials. So there are certain minimums that we have to hit as a public library. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with these, but I'll go over them very briefly. The first one is I'll talk about the materials expenditure requirement. So it's based on a number of factors, but for our library on our town and our population, which is at about 23,000, we are supposed to expend 15% of our operating budget on books and library materials. So these are things that we're buying that are for patrons to borrow. However, we are able to file a waiver, and what that does is, because we hit every other required piece of that puzzle, we can lower our amount to above 13.5%. So if we file this waiver, and we're able to bring that number down to 13.5%. So in order to fund this line at 13.5%, because we had an increase in the personnel line, we also have to increase this line. And so again, we've moved some of the money from furnishings and equipment into this line so that we're hitting that state minimum. So the number you see reflected here, 176,793, hits that minimum requirement of 13.5% spend on library materials. Furnishings and equipment. So this is the line that we've moved a lot of our funding out of. So computers and equipment, we have worked with Town IT to figure out what schedule our computers are on that need replacement. So we usually only do a few a year so that they're not all getting replaced at once. And so for this budget round, we have 4 computers scheduled for replacement. So that's part of the cost. The other cost is a second self-check workstation. So last year we funded the self-check on the first floor. This is a self-check for the second floor. And then we have an annual equipment rental for our computer and print management service, and that's $2,000 a year. So that is furnishings and equipment. So you'll see furnishing and equipments go down, the other 2 go up to meet a hopefully level budget. So this kind of second state requirement that's important to bring up is our MAR, our municipal appropriation requirement. So what that does is there's a certain amount, it's the last 3 years times 1.025, meaning they kind of set a minimum for what your budget has to be from your municipality as a public library. The presented budget hits that minimum. I think I've gone through all the lines. Are there any questions? Yes.
So you're essentially, besides, we'll say payroll, right?
Yeah.
You're essentially self-funding any other changes
Correct.
by the furnishings and equipment. Is $15,000 enough for what you need in furnishings and equipment? Like, are you shortchanging yourself?
I mean, I'll always say yes to that.
Well, no, I mean,
Well, they just did the
Good
upgrade.
answer.
True, right. So but you know what I mean. Like, are you handcuffing yourself, or is it truly you can get by with $15,000?
So the line was larger last year in part because of what the town gave us towards the renovation. So there was 3 study pods that were funded by the town in this process. That was about $19,000. So those have been purchased, and they are very well used. They're number 1 used. People are in those all day, every day. So that was in there, and also to meet that MAR. We needed the extra money to meet the MAR. And so we do not need that money in that line to meet our MAR. And we have just completed a $325,000 renovation of our first floor. I present it this way because I do think we'll be okay without it. I think the things that are important, the self-check workstation, those are all in here. And so I think I think if we're being fiscally responsible, but, you know, I'll take whatever money you want to give me.
How much do you have left in the gift account?
So we have a few different accounts. So we have the Barbara Johnson Trust Fund. So that one has about $49,000 left in it.
How much did you use for the renovations out of that account?
Oh, do you know off the top of your head? So we got 100,000 from Cummings.
So it was, so the whole renovation was about 325,000. So 100 came from Cummings, and then, it was about over 100, like 125,000, I think, came from, Barbara Johnson, and then the rest was, the 19 from the town, and the rest was state aid.
And our friends at the library as well.
So you used
Oh, yes,
125.
Friends of the library gave 20,000.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you used 125 out of the trust.
Yes, so a significant portion of that
Right.
went to this renovation.
Do you have access to grants? Does the state offer grants for libraries?
Yes, they do. So part of hitting our MAR and being state certified gives us the ability to apply for state grants. And so we've hit all of those requirements, and we are currently in process, us and our children's librarian, of applying for an LSTA grant for, it's called a Mind in the Making grant. It's for children and children's furniture and children's rooms. And so since that was the floor that didn't get renovated, we thought that that would be a really great grant to apply for in this season. So we're looking for it. But that's not, I mean, we are also able to apply and look for grants outside of just that state venue. So
Okay,
we're in there. We'll look for money where we can.
good. I had a lot of time to spend in the library this last year with my granddaughter in the children's section for the program that's run by Miss Nicole.
Yes.
And I have to tell you that she is unbelievable. A lot of parents in the program were telling me that they have friends that go to other towns, and there's nobody like her.
Yeah.
So just wanted to send that your
I'm
way,
happy
because
to
she
hear that.
really deserves a lot of credit. Her patience is never ending.
Yep.
Never ending. I mean, 25 kids all at once could just start talking or roaming around, and she doesn't bat an eye. She's amazing.
Yeah, so she's actually the head of that department, and she does an amazing job running that room.
Yeah.
And she works really hard to grow and develop the staff who work underneath her. So we've got an amazing teen librarian, Sarah, and we've got a brand new children's librarian, Victoria, who was an educator before she came here.
Oh, I read about that.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm really proud of our children's team. And yeah, Nicole is amazing. We're very lucky to have her. So I'm glad everyone else loves her as much as we do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And your staff on the first floor is very welcoming.
Yes, yeah.
Very, very friendly, very comfortable to go in there.
Yeah, they're, I mean,
Yeah.
again, I know I'm biased, but.
So am I. It's my library, too.
But I will admit, they are a huge part of the reason that I did decide to come here to Wilmington. Meeting the staff, interacting with the staff, seeing the things that the staff were doing. Having a really engaged staff is so important and so key to the success of a library. And so they really are the gem of the library, and they make it go. And I'm incredibly proud of them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions or comments?
One other question. So I know that you're sort of looking to have a level budget this year, but you know, next 5 years, what's your vision? Do you think that there are going to be things you want to do that could require funding?
Yeah. So it is a dream of mine to have a pop-up library vehicle. So not a bookmobile, not a traditional bookmobile. I worked in Worcester before this, and we had two. But I would love to have something where it allows us easy access to bring the library beyond our four walls. We are somewhat limited by our 15,000 square foot building. And again, we're doing all we can with the space that we have. But it would be really great to get something to allow us to bring the library beyond where we're at, especially in the warmer weather, and just have the library travel to where people are, reach non-users, right? It's really hard to reach people who don't think of a library, didn't grow up around libraries. And we absolutely have something to offer them, but we have to figure out a way to get get there. And so we do what we can with outreach now, but it would be really wonderful to have an outreach vehicle. So I'm working with the Friends to maybe start funding for it. But that's a big thing. And I think the other thing is we really are looking at that second floor children's room and how we can improve it, how we can make it more usable, what are the things that they need. I think it's 2026, but down the road, the carpets are on the capital plan. So those will have to be done. But yeah, I really think looking at the children's room is our goal. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure to meet you. And I'll stop in and say hi the next time I'm in there.
Yes, please do.
Hopefully by myself, but
Yeah.
2-year-olds are hard to wrangle.
They sure are. And I'll shameless plug, too. So you can find everything on our website, wilmlibrary.org. And all of our social medias are at Wilm Library, and our app is Wilm Library. See a theme? And so stop by, check us out. We really do have something for everyone. And we want you all there. We want to help every single person.
Very, very good.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take that. And it was great meeting you
I-
guys.
Is it a
and
good idea to maybe introduce the app to the schools? Maybe they could kind of outreach it more for you to get,
yeah,
to-
I think we were just there last night.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, reach out and have
Yeah,
them,
it's good for everybody.
that's right.
So yeah, I'm really excited about it. And it was really great to meet you guys. And I do have to say, Wilmington has been one of the most welcoming communities, and I am so proud to work here. So thank
That's
you so much.
nice.
We're happy
Thank
to
you,
have you.
welcome.
It's great to hear, thank you.
Next time I won't do a presentation.
Great.
We more enjoyed hearing you
Yeah.
talk about
okay.
things.
Much better vocabulary than I.
So we have the Historical Commission is up next, and we still have about 10 or 15 minutes. So if people want to vote to take a little break, is that what you were going to ask?
Yeah.
Sure.
Would
I'll make
you-
a motion for recess.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we'll recess for 10 minutes, okay? Okay, so it seems we have a problem with the Historical Commission arriving for the meeting tonight. So, if anybody wants to make a motion to meet with them at another time during this budget season,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll make
accept
a
that.
motion to have the town manager contact them and reschedule for a,
I'll second.
okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Can I just clarify? It's for a date that we're already meeting.
Yes.
You don't want
Absolutely.
another night?
Well, I just
Maybe a
think it's
Friday night.
I just think it's important to be clear.
Yes, well, that's a
Fridays
good
are-
clarification. All those in favor? Okay. And minutes will be taken up on Tuesday. They should be all back together again, and, oh, hi, how are you?
Stuck in a traffic jam.
We're just getting ready
We
to
have to start
adjourn.
over.
Oh.
So, I was just saying, Tommy, that we will take up minutes on Tuesday night
Wonderful.
and put them on the agenda for them, because they're not on the agenda tonight, so.
Can I
Oh,
just-
actually, they are.
Can I just inquire, Madam Chair, if, is there any particular night, next meeting, Veterans, Elderly, Information Technology, and Town Clerk, and Planning, Conservation, Building Inspector, Board of Appeals, and Health, Police and Fire.
Maybe on the 13th, planning and I think that they might fit in there nicely. We already have 4 on the 8th.
Right,
We probably don't want to put a 5th one in there,
right. Okay,
if possible. If not, we can always fit them in before one of the school meetings, because it's not a big
not a
presentation.
big, right, okay.
Yeah. But it's important that we do meet with them. I know I have some questions, I'm sure other people do. So, all right, well, I think that's the business for tonight.
Call for public comment.
I don't see anybody here for public comment, so,
motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Hi.
Thank you very much. And good night.